It seems to me that Donald Trump and this MAGA movement are really just tearing our country apart. It seems like all of the humanity we once had in America is kind of being stripped away and replaced with cruelty for cruelty's sake. We've seen federal workers being asked to narc on one another. We've seen federal agents rolling into courthouses, and instead of working with local officials, they try to strong-arm them, causing a whole bunch of tension there. And we've seen ICE agents rolling into neighborhoods, faces covered, no identification required, and they're causing tension in communities all across the country. And the one I particularly want to focus on today is from Worcester, Massachusetts, where a 16-year-old girl was thrown down to the ground. She was pinned down. She was arrested. All of this after her mother was taken by ICE, and they didn't even present a warrant. Now, I'll be the first to say that we do not have a whole lot of details on who was arrested, why this person was arrested, and I don't necessarily want to get bogged down in those specifics. It could very well come out that this person is somebody who should have been taken off the streets, but I want to talk about how all of this is being done. Because instead of working with local agencies, instead of coming and maybe having people surrender to ICE, or however you might conceive it might go, these people are just terrorizing communities just like little fascist freaks would. They are coming in, like I said, faces covered, no identification present, and they're chasing down 16-year-old girls after her mom was basically kidnapped by the agency. I mean, it is all just wild. So let's go ahead and take a look at what exactly happened in Worcester, Massachusetts really quick, and then we will go over some more details. If you guys do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe.
The screams of a woman being taken into ICE custody on Eureka Street in Worcester yesterday as crowds began to swarm around federal agents, a witness describing what she saw.
The mom, as she was being detained too, she was screaming. I don't know if she was being hurt as she was handcuffed. I don't know but she was truly screaming. Those are the screams that I have ingrained in my ears right now.
Another relative, believed to be her daughter, flailing in front of the ICE vehicle in a scene that rapidly grew into chaos in front of agents, some masked, and witnesses say they had no answers about the arrest.
We were all asking for a warrant. They didn't answer at first and then eventually just said this is a warrantless arrest when they were shoving them into the vehicle.
Worcester police say they moved in to de-escalate the situation, but the response has outraged the community, some saying they question which side the police was on.
We saw both federal and Worcester officers descend on a family with a level of aggression that you would use when apprehending someone who's known to be dangerous and carrying weapons.
2 others were arrested. School committee candidate Ashley Spring, charged with disorderly conduct and assault and battery, as she allegedly threw an unknown liquid at responding officers, and the arrested woman's daughter. At some point, activist Dolly DeRocha took the infant of another family member into her arms to help.
What I felt is indescribable because such an innocent baby that is going to be impacted by the separation of family members.
The message for ICE is get out of our city.
City leaders are calling for accountability and an investigation into the response.
Our local police is not tasked to protect ICE. They're here to protect the people, and they should behave that way.
So just to do a quick recap here, you've got a family who's living in this Worcester, Mass neighborhood. ICE comes swarming in. The community stands up to try to get in their way, tries to make sure that they're presenting a warrant or whatever the proper protocol would be. And it doesn't sound like the ICE agents were able to present that warrant, and therefore the community was saying this is an unlawful arrest. And they just kept on strong-arming the whole situation anyway. They just kind of kept pressing forward, and then things just escalated to a place where they probably shouldn't have been escalated. And I want to go ahead and take a look at a close-up of the video, I want to take a close-up of this teenage girl being arrested, and then we're going to go over why the police say that they were chasing her down like this. So here is the 16-year-old girl. She is being thrown to the ground and arrested. And mind you, this is after ICE officials have just taken her mother away, and supposedly they did not present a warrant. So what is a 16-year-old girl supposed to be thinking in this moment? Don't you think she'd be a little freaked out? Don't you think she might have a volatile reaction. I think it's quite possible for a teenage girl to have such a reaction after you just took her mother away. But instead of trying to de-escalate, instead of sitting this teenage girl down and trying to explain the situation, explain what is going to happen, what is going on, this is what they did instead.
Stop, ma'am! Stop! Stop!
Definitely a chaotic scene on Eureka Street Thursday as Worcester police and ICE agents detained a mother and her 16-year-old daughter. That girl's face slammed into the ground as she was taken into custody. They have not been identified. Worcester police said officers were dispatched to the area for a report of a federal agent surrounded by about two.
She has a baby pacifier still in her hand, and her face is being slammed into the pavement. This is a 16-year-old girl, I believe, who probably weighs no more than 90 pounds. Does it really take 3 or 4 officers shoving her into the pavement? Is that really necessary? This is just disgusting, okay? This should not be going on in the United States of America. Let me go ahead and play the rest of the video.
24 people. When police arrived, they say the teen daughter was holding a newborn baby in her arms and standing in front of the ICE vehicle that was trying to leave with their mother inside. Officers told her she was endangering the baby, so she handed the newborn to a relative, but police allege as the ICE vehicle drove away, she ran after it and kicked the side of it. She was arrested and charged with reckless endangerment of a child, disturbing the peace, disorderly conduct, and resisting arrest.
So now you've got a 16-year-old girl. I think that was, 4 or 5 different charges that they're now bringing against her, all because the community tried to stand up and step in, tried to surround the car to make sure that this unlawful arrest wasn't going to take place. And like I said before, just let me caveat, it could very well come out that this was a legal arrest, and that would be what it is, okay? I'm not saying that we know for sure that this was an unlawful arrest, but from the information that we have now, it sounds like no warrant was presented. And so now you've got a teenage girl who tries to stand in front of the car to prevent her mother from being taken away in this unmarked vehicle. The community is there with her. And when the car starts to drive away, she runs after it and supposedly tries to kick the car. And I want to show you that video because it does look like she tries to kick the vehicle, but I mean, it's a pretty pathetic excuse for a kick. And I just want everybody to remember, this is a teenage girl and her mother has just been taken. She's in a fit of rage. She is probably shocked. She is probably upset. Not saying that we condone the actions, but just take a look at this kick to the car that they said she made.
As the federal agents pull away, Worcester police say a girl holding a newborn baby ran in front of the vehicle, screaming. Police say they told her she was endangering the child and she...
Okay, so we can play it one more time. Here we go. So she's going to come up and she kind of kicks the wheel well area of the car, and then she runs away, and then the police chase her, okay? So that's what we're going to see. I'll try to go frame by frame here. You can see she's running up. She's near the back of the car right now. Now you can see her leg go up. It's right in front of the wheel as we look at it right here. It doesn't even look like she made contact, or if she did make contact with the car, it was not a lot of force at all. So there, maybe made contact with the vehicle, and then she starts running away from the police. Okay, so this is what they're saying she did. I'll go ahead and play it once through again.
Worcester police say a girl holding a newborn baby ran in front of the vehicle, screaming. Police say they told her she was endangering the child.
Okay, so like I said, should a teenage girl be kicking this supposed ICE vehicle? No, it's probably not the right thing to do. But I will also say that these police have discretion. Was it really necessary to send 3 or 4 police officers chasing after her and then slamming her into the pavement and then shoving her head down into the pavement while they made the arrest? Was that really necessary? Would it have been possible to just maybe sit her down and try to talk her through this whole thing? I mean, what we're seeing here is just disgusting. It's just embarrassing to be an American at this particular time. We've got a wannabe authoritarian administration. They're sending their jackbooted thugs all over the countries. They're storming neighborhoods. They're taking people without warrants. I mean, what are we doing, folks? We're supposed to be better than this. These people are destroying my country, and I am just absolutely disgusted. Here's another woman who was arrested. She kind of chased after the police who were chasing after the teenager. Here's what she had to say.
ICE was here, the community gathered. We found out that they didn't have a warrant. They didn't have not just a judicial warrant, they didn't have a warrant at all. They wouldn't present it. And the community decided that these women were free to go, and the women decided to go and exercise their right to leave because they were not being detained. At that point, the police continued to try to brutalize them, to rip the baby out of the mother's arms, 4-week-old baby, it looks like. And the community tried to intervene and help them.
So the community tries to intervene and help them because, as these people continue to say, there was no warrant presented. There was no warrant from a judge. There was no other administrative warrant. Like I said, it's possible it comes out that there was a warrant, but to our knowledge now, that warrant did not exist. So was it the right thing to do for this community to try to stand up and try to block what they perceive as an unlawful arrest? I would say so. I think we need to start pushing back against these fascist jackbooted thugs. It is not okay for them to just start coming into communities and start picking people off the street, especially if there is no warrant. Now, I'm going to continue to caveat. It's possible there was a warrant. We just don't know that right now. But even if there was a warrant, this could have been handled better. It did not need to escalate how it escalated. But this is what we are seeing out of this Trump administration. This is what we are seeing out of these ICE agents. It is all very fascistic. It's all very authoritarian. There is no empathy as to what you are doing. You are tearing families apart. This woman that they took, I think, had a baby that she passed off to her daughter, and then the daughter was holding it, and then she passed it off to somebody else to run away from the police. I mean, it's all just chaos. It's all just chaos. And all of this really could have been avoided in my mind. I could be wrong about that, but it seems like we can do better here in the United States. But the Trump administration doesn't appear to want to do that at all. Now, the one last thing I want to show you here is that the communities are starting to stand up against this nonsense. I'm not out there saying that you need to go break the law, but I am starting to say that if there appears to be an unlawful arrest, if these people are going to show up like a whole bunch of jackbooted thugs and they're not going to provide any warrant, if they're not, I mean, do not get physical with these people. You don't need to give them any reason to get physical back with you. But man, the people have got to start standing up against this. This is not what we are supposed to be doing here in the United States. We shouldn't be just picking people off the streets without any warrant. And we certainly shouldn't be escalating these types of situations when you are coming into communities and you are ripping families apart. Of course it's going to be a tense situation. Where is your de-escalation training? Why aren't you guys handling these things with more tact? Instead, you kind of come in, you bum rush the whole community, and you just start going crazy because they feel like they've been or they are emboldened to do so because you have a Trump administration who isn't going to really hold these people accountable if something goes wrong, right? It's just absolutely insane. But luckily, like I said, the community is coming together. They are starting to push back against this nonsense, and we have seen protests started to pick up after this arrest.
When immigrant parents are under attack, what do we do?
We don't want to live in a community where our neighbors are pulled off the street.
We act like this sort of thing is okay.
Families, protesters, and neighbors filling Worcester Common after this arrest by Worcester police and federal ICE agents last week of a mother in front of her daughters, including one with a baby.
We are here to demand the due process of the law that is guaranteed to every person on American soil, citizen or non-citizen.
In a statement sent to News Center 5, the Department of Homeland Security says the woman they took into custody, Ferreira de Oliveira, illegally came to the U.S. in 2022, saying she was facing multiple assault charges. But those at today's rally say without due process, things need to change.
Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back!
Without due process, none of this makes sense to me. Perhaps this is a person that should not be in America. I don't know. But until that person is given the opportunity to explain their situation and there's an investigation and we go through due process, then this just isn't the place I want to be.
Yeah, and that person is exactly right. This is why due process is so important. If you got ICE agents coming into a community, to everybody else's account, it said they weren't presenting any warrant, they weren't presenting any sort of proper paperwork that would say that they're ICE and they're here to take this person for this reason. None of that seemed to be presented to any of these people. So the community stands up, they try to prevent an unlawful arrest, and then the police come in and the ICE agents, they escalate and things just get out of control. And now you've got a 16-year-old girl. She's facing, 4 or 5 different charges. You've got somebody who is running for a local seat there. She's also charged for a couple different things during this altercation. But this is what I'm saying. This is tearing our communities apart. You've got ICE coming in, trying to carry out their duties, so to speak. Then you've got these, they're escalating the situation. So then you got the local police officers. They're showing up to try to, I don't know what they were doing. It didn't seem like they were trying to de-escalate. They said that they were trying to make sure that none of the federal agents were getting hurt or yada, yada, yada. So now you've got a local police agency. They're at odds with their local community. The local community is pissed off at the local police and the ICE agents. And now you've got all of this conflict that didn't need to be there if you guys could just carry these things out in a more tactful sort of way. So this movement, Donald Trump, this MAGA cruelty, it's tearing our country apart. We should be doing better here in the United States. Many people like to say that Barack Obama was the deporter-in-chief or whatever they like to call him, but you didn't see these types of stories much at all during his administration. There is a right and wrong way to go about these things. And you keep on hearing that the Trump administration is targeting all of these heinous criminals, but then we find out that many of these people sent to El Salvador, they didn't even have any criminal record at all. They've never been accused or charged with a crime. So now you've got all of this distrust built into the ICE agency, and now when they roll into the community, of course they're not going to trust that you are there to carry out your job in the way that it is supposed to be carried out. So it's just a whole bunch of conflict for nothing. We can all agree that we want, secure borders. We can all agree that we want to get rid of or deport or take off the streets the violent, undocumented immigrants. We can all agree there. And maybe it'll turn out that this lady that was arrested, maybe she is a violent criminal. We just don't know about it. But it doesn't appear like they are carrying these things out in a way that is going to put people at ease in these communities. And now we are seeing these types of things break out all over the country because you have a fascist administration who wants to put fear into people all across the country. This is what authoritarians do. They try to instill fear. They want people to not speak up. They want people to just roll over. They don't want any pushback at all. And this is a way that they can kind of get people to snap in line because, I don't want to be the next person who is slammed into the pavement with my head drilled down into the ground. So I find it all quite disgusting. This is a wannabe authoritarian regime who is finding joy in all of this nonsense. I've seen a whole bunch of MAGA lunatics praising this stuff and cheering it on. It is just absolutely disgusting. Like I said, the humanity that should exist in a country as great as America used to be, it's just gone. It's just gone. And I hope that we can crawl ourselves out of this very dark hole that this MAGA movement and this Donald Trump figure has put us in. So I'll leave it there for now, guys. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We are trying to build something here on the left that adequately pushes back against the right-wing media ecosystem that just cheers this kind of fascist nonsense on day in and day out. So if you do like what I do here, please remember to smash that subscribe button. It is free. And if you guys want more details on how the Trump administration arrested a Democratic mayor in New Jersey, go ahead and watch that video on the screen now. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next one.